So, help me welcome up Steph.
Are we at this place already?
Yes.
It's feeling the space, right? Do you think that made me uncomfortable?
No.
Doubtful.
No.
That made us uncomfortable.
Are you uncomfortable? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. You know, I am a minister. I'm one of those. And our job description is actually to make people uncomfortable. So I think I do a really great job. Just being in the room with me sometimes. That's enough, right? So we're talking about getting comfortable with the discomfort. Hi, Zoomers. How are you guys doing? There's something counting down over here. It looks like a time off. So I'm going to put that off. Are you still comfortable?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am open to possibility as I discover multiple perspectives. That's our affirmation for today. And today we're talking about playing in paradox, and to remember that we need to look at these polarized experiences in our life that exist. They exist, right? We talk about flipping a coin. I was going to flip a coin and do a bunch of things with coins today, but nobody carries cash anymore. Who cares? I don't have coins on me. But that used to be my go-to thing, heads or tails. Even when you're trying to figure out a difficult conversation or a difficult choice, you know, give it the power to the coin, because you will know what the answer is in your heart. If you say heads this or tails that, and it lands on one, and you feel disappointment that it wasn't the other one, you know that you have the power to make that decision for yourself. So we get attached to our perspective of indecisiveness. And sometimes it's hard to make decisions if we're worried about causing suffering, because we're attached to one perspective or another, and it causes suffering. Sometimes when we're on the fence, and indecisiveness causes suffering. So are we willing to remain open to understand alternative perspectives and find a third way that encompasses the positive benefits of all aspects? So, is it hard to make decisions for yourself? Is it hard to make decisions when you're worried about causing suffering to yourself or other people? Ernest Holmes, said, and let us not forget the importance of keeping our minds in a state of good-natured flexibility. Oh, remaining flexible. He says, yes, we must be flexible and tolerant as well as positive and affirmative. So how do we do that? How do we keep our minds open in a state of good-natured flexibility when we know we want this? We want this one thing that looks bright and shiny. And so we do our treatment, and we do our work, and we want that thing, and that thing just never comes. Because there's a greater expression that is also participating and engaging in our lives, this beautiful unconscious, subconscious mind that might be saying, I'm not worthy of that bright and shiny thing. So keeping our minds open to that flexible expression of the divine, allowing spirit to infiltrate our decisions to turn off our phones when coming into service. And keeping ourselves flexible and tolerant of what's happening around. So we are everyone uncomfortable yet?
Thank you for your time. She's a
She's a prop, isn't she?
I totally planted her. Checks in the mail. How do we get comfortable with discomfort? Well, what do I talk about every single time I'm up here?
Love.
Well, that's a good one.
Sorry.
Yes. Oneness. We first turn to oneness. And clearly, oneness is my religion. To be comfortable in our discomfort is to recognize that there is nothing to be discomforted by. If we focus on oneness and the big picture, then we might be missing out on opportunities to reach out and support, reach out to love, reach out to bring more peace, reach out to one another. We are not embracing the totality of our humanity because we want so desperately to always be comfortable. But it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. We are human beings walking around with unconscious and subconscious blocks that don't even belong to us. And we weren't born with anything less than perfection. We weren't born with anything less than divine source and substance within us. And so when we recognize that discomfort, how about leaning in and finding what is in that discomfort for me, right? For that beautiful center of the universe that is living and expressing itself through me. We are human beings having an experience, and we forget that we are human beings. We think, especially as spiritual people like us, we know better, right? We know that we're spiritual and that everything is always perfect in the mind, and therefore my life is unfolding perfectly. And why am I crying for no reason in my basement? We're human beings. We're going to feel uncomfortable. We're going to get discomforted in our experience and expression. But when we are forgetting about our humanity, we are forgetting about our divinity. We are missing out on that beautiful expression of spirit that is living itself through us. We are unique and unrepeatable. It is a glorious, unbelievable, and miraculous thing that we have even ended up being human beings. You know, one chromosome away, we're bananas. How amazing is it that after billions of years, billions of expressions of evolution, moment after moment after moment, I got to be me. I get to unwrap that. But we get caught up in our suffering and our challenges of living in the world that we miss out on this infinite opportunity to unleash and untap our joy. So I don't know about you, but for me, the most uncomfortable and difficult choice I make is the choice to change something about myself. We believe it takes work, and so we settle into that suffering, believing that that's what's going to make us more comfortable. I'm just going to lean into this softness, even though it's causing me pain. I'm going to lean in and just bear down and be a good person and ride the higher horse and take the high road, even if we're hurting ourselves or the other. So, looking at my life, chronic anxiety and depression for over 2.5 decades. I've lived in the basement. I've lived in the cave of my own mind. I wore a mask everywhere I went, pretending that I was great. And the most beautiful, uncomfortable decision I ever made was to shift and change and to become something that didn't have chronic anxiety and panic attacks waiting for the bus. So navigating polarities. Often we stand on one side or another of a decision, one side of another of an opinion, one side or another of a political party, one side or another of a tradition. Our language, our way of moving through the world, the questions we ask one another, and the ways that we seek meaning in our lives all lend themselves to standing on one side or another. And if we allow the discomfort in, there we will shortly thereafter realize that there is no thing to be discomforted by. If we no longer resist being discomfort, then we no longer are resisting against. Everyone get that one? If we are no longer resisting discomfort, then we no longer are resisted against. Think of it as a big boulder in a stream that is always flowing. A stream is always flowing. And that big boulder just allows itself to be in its natural state and allows the water to flow around it with ease and with grace. It's not facing the current and going it's allowing. And so if we allow ourselves to be in uncomfortable situations and simply just recognize that we are in it, there is nothing really going on outside of ourselves, then we are in that flow and there is nothing resisting against us. You know, the best, I learned this in martial arts. I was trained in Taekwondo. And the one thing we learned before we got a black belt was that the best way to win a fight was to walk away. Right? So what are we resisting? What are we against? The Center for Spiritual Living, or the Centers for Spiritual Living, we say we're for something and against nothing. So being for life, being for love, being for peace, being for power and freedom, these are expressions that we can dig into and lean into in new ways without thinking the other is wrong. If you don't want freedom, go ahead, shackle yourselves to your beliefs. If you don't want love, go ahead, stay in your space by yourself. If you don't want peace, go ahead, watch violent movies and watch the news. You'll find what you're looking for wherever you're looking for it. Our entire society is based on picking a side, even when you don't fit into one single side. Once we have chosen our side, whether it is a preference, a belief system, a way of thinking, or a call to action, we then begin to see only the benefits of our side. Yes, I'm right. I love being right. And only the defects of the other side. Oh, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. We can see this in every major debate or worldview in our time right now. Sometimes, this weekend it's Thanksgiving. Some of us are going to see this polarity in our family dinners this afternoon or tomorrow, whenever you're celebrating Thanksgiving. You're going to see that because I know, as a coach, I hear stories for the next 3 months about what my family was like on Thanksgiving. What if you just sat with that difficult conversation? What if you just sat in that discomfort and let whoever is bugging you speak? How does that hurt anyone listening? Deep, deep listening. Rahil Farak said, "Intelligence is to spot paradoxes, wisdom is to live by them." Just trusting that the paradoxes are there. The other side is there. The infinite is there. And so whatever opinion or choice I make, infinite other opinions and choices are present for me equally. But when we get in that place, we start being in that place of doubling down, right? Oh, they said something. I have a rebuttal. I could just say it right now. We double down and we dig in. We have different opinions. So what? The first one to figure this out, the so what? The first one to figure that out is in every conflict is the first to have peace. So why do we make such big deals or create chaos and drama in our own lives just because we have a difference of opinion or preference or belief or orientation? Do we really need to question others? Do we really need to question others? Can we learn to trust the divine presence to operate through their life story just as the divine presence is operating through ours? It's like trusting that infinite intelligence to know greater than I am. I don't know what anyone else's life is like but my own. These are the shoes I'm walking in. But what I can do, instead of digging into my perspective or my way of thinking, what I can do is open myself up to the possibility that God's got them. God's got them. I don't need to correct, fix, counsel. I don't need to do anything to make them change their mind, their position, their belief. Life is an inside job for us. We are unique and uniquely qualified to be us. And therefore, everyone is. Everyone is. So this takes vulnerability. It takes self-esteem. It takes self-esteem. So, if you have a hard time with self-esteem, and you're struggling with liking that reflection of the divine that you see in the mirror, then you know that the prayer tonight is, I love myself. God loves me. A divine infinite intelligence created me perfectly. And so I get to be in this expression and experience. Holy, perfectly, right? We were born with nothing but divine perfection. Ernest Jonesy says, keep the doorway of your mind open. Feeling, thinking, communing with the life. Know that it fills you with light and with power. Your power is the power of an infinite source. Your power is the power of an infinite source. And so, just like that coin, right? The coin has heads or tails, but it's only one coin. If you threw up 2 coins, you could have the same answer. But there's only one coin in life. That power and presence that is infinite intelligent mind, expressing and expanding through unrepeatable, infinite possibilities. So heads or tails, or a third way, right or wrong, or a middle ground. So let's be rooted in principle and grounded in truth. This requires vulnerability of looking at what is no longer serving you, what isn't benefiting you in your life, what isn't on the side of your side, what isn't in the expression of your whole self that we've taken on throughout the indoctrination and domestication of thousands of years. Thousands of years of this is how we want it. Brian Emerson, he wrote in Navigating Polarities, standing in the third way is a practice. It relies on a way of being and doing that most of us were never taught. It requires self-awareness, consciousness, conscious choice, and courageous action, right? The most bravest thing that we can do. Is that a sentence? The most bravest thing that we can do is change something about ourselves. It takes courage. It takes direct action and activity. So as we continue to play with these paradoxes and polarities that come up in our lives, it is important that we hold gently to beliefs, ideas, and even our identities as we assess what is working and not working in our life. Hold lightly what is happening in your life, because there is a power and presence within you that is stronger than you could ever imagine. And you have that ability within you to shift, change, grow, and evolve. That's what Science of Mind is based on. You have the power. You have the responsibility to be that growth for yourself and for the world. Brene Brown, she said, in these challenging moments of dissonance, we need to stay curious and resist choosing comfort over courage. It's brave to invite new information to the table, to sit with it and hear it out. It's also very rare these days. So I created a little story about paradoxes yesterday. I'm going to share that story with you today. The dance of oneness, embracing paradoxes. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village, nestled between the mountains, or right here in the center of the prairies, there lived a community of free spirits. They were seekers of truth, explorers in the inner realms, and believers in the boundless power of the human spirit. This community cherished a sacred principle above all else: oneness. The villagers understood that oneness was not a concept, but a living, breathing force that connected all beings and all things. They reveled in the paradoxes and polarities that oneness presented, for they knew that within these apparent contradictions lay the keys of profound self-discovery. In the heart of the village, there stood a magnificent tree known as the Tree of Paradoxes. It was said that the tree held the wisdom of the ages and could help anyone who sought answers to their innermost questions. The seekers of this community often would gather around this ancient tree, ready to delve into the enigmatic teachings. One day, a young girl named Luna, whose heart burned with a fervent desire to understand the depths of oneness, approached the Tree of Paradoxes. She asked the tree, "How can one find harmony within the chaos of life?" The tree responded with a gentle breeze rustling its leaves. "Harmony," it whispered, "is the recognition of chaos and order dancing together in perfect unity. It is within the chaos that you find the order of your own soul." Luna pondered these words and set out to explore the paradox within herself. She realized that it was as by embracing the chaos of her thoughts and emotions that she could discover the hidden order of her true essence. As days turned into weeks, more seekers approached the Tree of Paradoxes with their questions, each inquiry revealing a new facet of oneness. "How could one be strong, yet vulnerable?" asked a courageous warrior. The tree replied, "Strength is in vulnerability, and vulnerability is in strength. They are two sides of the same coin." A troubled philosopher came to the tree and asked, "How can one find peace amongst turmoil?" The tree whispered, "Peace is not the absence of turmoil, but the acceptance of it. Seek stillness within the storm." Next to the tree, a compassionate healer approached very softly and said, "How can one love without attachment?" The tree replied, "Love is the river that flows through your hearts, but attachment is the dam that blocks the flow. Release the dam and let love flow freely." And so the village flourished as the seekers approached the tree and found their deepest questions answered, so that they could ponder and circulate that wisdom into their community. They delved into the paradoxes and polarities of life, discovering that oneness is not an elusive destination, but a journey of self-discovery. They realized that to know themselves fully, they must embrace both light and dark, joy and sorrow, love and detachment. As the village prospered, its people radiated the essence of oneness. They understood that they were all interconnected, each a unique thread in the tapestry of existence, each question posed a healing, powerful presence for everyone. They saw the divine in one another's eyes, and in doing so, found the deepest part of themselves. In this mystical village, known as the Center for Spiritual Living Winnipeg, The tree of paradoxes remained a timeless teacher, reminding all who sought its wisdom that the path to oneness was not about transcending the paradoxes of them, but embracing the paradoxes. Through this journey of self-discovery, the free spirits of the village discovered that they were indeed one with the universe, and the universe was one with them. All of the answers are right here for you. In every paradox that shows up in your life, wonder why. Be in that place of curiosity and wonder. Why does someone have a different opinion than me when mine is clearly about love and oneness? Why? Being in that place of curiosity and wonder allows us to establish a greater truth for everyone. Because as we settle into our own wisdom and our own grace and our own beauty and our own power, we are really giving that to everyone around us. We are giving permission to be the other, because we are the ones who know there is no other. I'll leave you with this beautiful quote by Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind, page 33 for you scholars out there. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice forever whispering within our ear, that which causes the eternal quest, that which forever sings and sings. I hope truth and paradox whisper softly to you today.